Programming brought to you by AWI Networks, Smarter Internet.
Thanks for joining St. George News at 8. I'm Scott Beadle. A Southern Utah judge is under fire for the sentence he gave to a man who sexually assaulted 3 children. 19-year-old John Benjamin Garich was arrested for touching the genitals of 3 children ranging from 3 to 8 years old. The victim's aunt says he lived in the same apartment complex. According to court documents, Garich went over to meet the family, was invited inside, and when the parents were out of the room, he touched the children. Family says that under a plea agreement, Garich was expected to serve up to 15 years in prison. But at sentencing, Judge Keith Barnes ordered him to serve 210 days in Iron County Jail, followed by 3 years probation. The family has launched a campaign on change.org in response to that sentence. An 84-year-old Colorado City man was arrested for alleged sexual abuse of a 14-year-old girl. Deputies arrested Marco Dutson, a registered sex offender in Arizona, on a felony count of sex abuse. Investigations into Dutson began on September 11th after authorities received a child molestation complaint. The girl's father reported that Dutson, a family relative, had inappropriately touched his daughter. Dutson was arrested Thursday without incident and was taken to the Washington County Purgatory Correctional Facility. Police say an 85-year-old woman in Cedar City awoke Thursday to find a masked intruder inside her home. Officers responded to the 500 South block of 640 West a little before 5 a.m. The suspect apparently used an open window to get inside the home. The elderly woman had been asleep when the man woke her up and demanded the key to a safe. He also threatened to hurt her if she didn't give it to him. Police say that vault had some money, as well as part of a prescription. Investigators do not believe this was a random break-in since that intruder appeared to have previous knowledge about that safe. A millionaire who helped launch a pay-to-play scandal involving 2 former Utah attorneys general will ask a federal court to reverse his conviction for lying to banks. Jeremy Johnson is taking his case to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. He was sentenced to more than 11 years in prison last year. Johnson was arrested in 2011 at an airport carrying more than $26,000 in cash, as well as a one-way plane ticket to Costa Rica. He later claimed State Attorney General John Swallow and Senator Harry Reid were involved in a plan to toss out his case. Reid denied any connection and was never charged. Swallow later resigned amid influence peddling investigations that also included his predecessor, Mark Shurtleff. Shurtleff's case was eventually dropped and Swallow was acquitted. Prosecutors said Johnson and his managers lied to banks in order to create shell companies due to their struggling business. Thomas S. Monson, the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, will not be attending the church's semi-annual general conference this weekend. The church announced the 90-year-old Monson will not be attending due to his limitations of age. A release also notes that he continues to confer with his counselors as needed. Monson was hospitalized back in April following the last general conference. He was released after receiving treatment as well as fluids. Members will gather for the general conference this Saturday and Sunday in Salt Lake City. The Trump administration is now facing a bipartisan congressional investigation after reports that several cabinet secretaries used private and government-chartered planes, costing the U.S. taxpayer big bucks, and one cabinet member is out as a result. The House Oversight Committee is now asking for travel records from all 24 federal agencies. Serena Marshall reports.
The Health and Human Services Secretary has resigned following revelations he racked up more than $400,000 in 24 chartered flights. The president today not hiding his displeasure.
I don't like the optics.
In a statement, the White House said Price offered his resignation and the president accepted. He had agreed to pay back his portion of those chartered flights.
These trips were approved through the normal process, so it was deemed appropriate, and that was the necessary way to be able to make my other obligations within the department.
The president also saying today the pledge to pay back only the $52,000 of those flights was unacceptable. Price's resignation comes as earlier today it was revealed a fourth administration official, Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke, chose a chartered flight for domestic travel.
I'd just like to address, in the words of General Schwarzkopf, a little BS on travel.
During remarks today, he admitted to 3 chartered flights since his confirmation, totaling $12,000, but also justified taking private flights over commercial, saying,
"We have to utilize charter services because we often travel in areas and under circumstances that we don't have other flight options."
Other Trump secretaries facing scrutiny, Secretary Steve Mnuchin from Treasury and EPA Director Scott Pruitt.
The president plans to designate Don Wright to serve as the new acting secretary. He's currently the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Health and Human Services. Meteorologist Kim Walker has your Southern Utah forecast coming up right after this.
The weather tonight is brought to you by AWI Networks, smarter internet.
Welcome back, everyone. Temperatures today were a little bit warmer than yesterday. We're going to continue with the sunshine as we head into tomorrow, and it's going to be even a little bit more warm, and it's going to be breezy as a trough of low pressure starts to move southward across our area. We're going to have another shot of cool air arriving on Sunday, but then later in the week we are going to see those temperatures climb right back up. So we're going to take a look at that 7-day forecast in just a little bit. But our high today in St. George, it was 84 degrees, warmer in Mesquite at 91, but Enterprise only saw a high of around 78 degrees, so very pleasant out there. Even though we're going to see those temperatures climb into the upper 80s tomorrow, still going to be very pleasant, especially with dry air in place. So again, our temperatures were about, in general, about 5 degrees warmer across the region, about 4 degrees in St. George and about 10 down to our south. So it is a little bit warmer. We're going to continue that trend into tomorrow, but then we are going to see a cool down for the early part of next week. Tonight, temperatures will drop down to only around 61 degrees in Mesquite, so mild there. In Hurricane, around 59 degrees, 44 for Cedar City, so a little bit chilly there, and 58 degrees in St. George. Here's a look at your day planner for tomorrow in Cedar City. Temperatures starting off in the 40s. We climb up to around 60 by noon. Our high will be around 76 degrees, and then we'll drop down to around 75 degrees. But notice those winds will start to pick up coming from the southwest at around 17 miles per hour. So it's going to be a little bit breezy out there. In St. George, we'll be about 10 degrees warmer in general. 62 will start off at 7 o'clock, and then by noon, plenty of sunshine. We climb up to around 67 degrees. Our high will be around 87 degrees, so about 3 degrees warmer. We drop back down to around 85 degrees during dinner time, mostly sunny. And again, the winds will be picking up from the southwest at around 10 to 15 miles per hour. So here's the situation right now. There is a system that will bring rain well to our east. We're going to stay pretty dry, but then a trough of low pressure will be moving in by the end of the weekend, and that will bring unseasonably cool weather back into our area. We're going to be right at the edge of it, so I think the northern half of the state will be much cooler, but I think we'll stay pretty mild, but temperatures will drop by early next week. Here's a look at your forecast as far as those highs are concerned. In Newcastle, we're looking at a high around 72 degrees, not bad. 76 for Cedar Key, and Enoch about 75 degrees. A little bit warmer down to the south, 87 degrees for St. George, 92 degrees for Littlefield. So the more south you go, the warmer it's going to get. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast for Cedar City. Temperatures will be dropping over the weekend, 72 degrees for the high on your Sunday, and then only 56 degrees on Monday. So jacket weather for sure. A little bit of cloud cover as well, but then Tuesday into Friday, we're going to see plenty of sunshine, and temperatures will gradually warm up to around 70 degrees for your Wednesday. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast for St. George. Temperatures will warm up tomorrow, but then we start to dip down again by the end of the weekend with a high of around 85 degrees, mostly sunny for your Sunday. We're going to stay with the dry weather through early next week, but we're going to drop down into the 70s before we're back into the 80s by the end of the week. So it's going to be pretty pleasant out there, dry weather, and it looks like we'll have shots of cold air that will keep us cool.
Yeah, it looks like a great week ahead.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kim.
Right.
We'll be right back. Minnesota has produced himself a spot in the world record books. Chris Qualley says Guinness has verified he has grown the heaviest carrot. That robust root vegetable tipped the scales at, get this, 22 pounds, 4 ounces, shattering the previous record of 20 pounds set back in 2014. Qualley says he actually knows very little about gardening, but decided to start the new hobby about 3 years ago. I'd say he is doing something right because that carrot appears to be bigger than the dog.
Yes, it's huge. I can imagine eating something like that.
Yeah, be working on that for a while.
Yes.
Have a great night.